Joe Burrow admits that he's not 100% yet, as he still makes his way back from serious wrist surgery. Where is he at? We discuss what we've seen from him in training camp. Plus, I go one on one with Erick All and much, much more right now on Enter the Jungle. Hi again, everyone, and welcome in to Enter the Jungle. I'm James Rapien. He is Andrew Fox Miller, and this is Cincinnati Bengals Talk. Catch us every single Tuesday at 8 Eastern, and be sure to subscribe. Join the 45,000 plus Bengals fans that subscribe to CBT on YouTube, and catch us weekly on Bally Sports. And shout out to our sponsor, Garage Beer. Andrew, game day or game week at least is here. Game day is almost here. It's Bengals, it's Buccaneers, and we know Joe Burrow is going to play in preseason game number one. Let's start with Joe before we get into really all things offense in this episode, which really you shouldn't have let me plan because we might talk about the offense from now until forever if I keep planning these shows. But Joe Burrow, you've watched all of the clips. I've been at training camp. He admits he's less than 100%. And yet I watch him, and even on days like this past Sunday, when the defense won the day, Burrow completed 17 of 22 passes during team drills. He's still getting the ball where it wants to go, but it clearly doesn't have the tightest spiral that we're used to. And I think he's admittedly a percentage point or two away from being back to 100%.
Yeah, you mentioned the spirals, the ball being a bit wobbly, and watching, because I have to, every single clip that you've recorded on that practice field from July till now.
That's right. You got to watch every single one twice, three times.
Yeah, look, I can see some of the concerns that are out there, some of the dialogue about the inconsistency. I understand, but to your point, the ball's getting where it needs to go. It kind of reminds me a little bit, and there's probably a better example than this, like Peyton Manning, Denver Broncos era Peyton Manning. Like, not always the best looking ball, but like his head was in the right place. He knew how to operate the offense, and he got it where it needed to go. I'm not talking about deep ball. I'm just talking about the rotations, the spiral, the thing that the receivers need to get to where anticipate, be able to catch the ball easier. Burrow's got that, and he shows it on that practice field. But again, it's not the most consistent yet. I don't know that I'm worried about it, but it does catch my attention at times.
When you say that, I could already feel our viewers saying, well, Peyton Manning was 800 years old in Denver.
Right. Well,
Joe Burrow is 27.
And his hand's not 100. His wrist isn't 100%. I mean, that's fine.
Well, and that's where I think we should go now is part of the deep ball. And we've seen him throw deep balls, accurate on deep balls. He went back to back, one with Charlie Jones and then one with Cedric Jackson last week that really brought the house down at camp. But admittedly, he isn't where he hopes to be from a deep ball perspective. And I think from a spin perspective in general, you got to remember you flick the wrist every time you throw it.
Yep.
I think he's still working through that. And part of working through that is playing in a game-like environment, which is why I think he's looking forward to playing against the Buccaneers. I would imagine he gets about a series. We'll see exactly how it plays out. But gets out there for a bit, shakes off some of the rust. But that's why all of these training camp reps are important. The joint practices starting next week are going to be huge because Joe Burrow is looking to find that extra 1%. But don't take my word for it or Andrew's word for it. Joe Burrow was asked about his deep ball and how confident he is in his deep ball right now. This answer was from last week, but I do think it gives you an idea of Burrow's mindset right now as training camp rolls along.
Not where I want it to be yet, but I would say that about a lot of parts of our team right now. But that's training camp. We are improving every single day. We got 3 weeks left to accumulate reps and learn and grow from all of those. So I'm really happy with where we're at.
I think it's reasonable to expect him to be working through things. It was a very serious wrist injury. And the fact that he is getting the ball accurately and delivering it. Like I said, the defense won on Sunday. And he still completed a high percentage of his passes, still had a touchdown throw to Trenton Irwin, had another deep ball that would have been complete to Kendrick Pryor, but Pryor let him hit it in his chest and it bounced off, didn't use his hands as he was up in the air. The point is he's still getting the ball there. But is there a little bit more strength? Is there a little bit more zip? Is there a little bit more flick of the wrist to get the rotation exactly where it was, say, against Houston, the 4 days before his injury in November to the Ravens? Yes, and that's fine because it's August. And August is the time where you wanna work on these things. I guess I'll say this, yeah, he's still got some work to do. He knows it, which is great because as long as he knows it and there's still time in the preseason/training camp, there's no reason to believe that he can't get through this last step before the start of the regular season.
Yeah, I mean, if you were to tell me months prior to camp, especially if we're looking at December, January timeframe, if you would have told me that Burrow would have been out on the field day one, completing, to your
Mhm.
point, 17 out of 22 passes within a week or two, then yeah, I would take that. And talking about risks, I'm obviously no doctor. I don't know everything behind it. It would be interesting to get a take on this, but there's the strength standpoint, the comfort to a degree, and there's the technique. And some of
Mhm.
that sometimes those go hand in hand. But you start with the grip when you're throwing the ball. There's some strength and touch involved in that. It'd be interesting to hear Joe kind of break that down about what he's experiencing if he would. But yeah.
Y Yeah, I don't know if he'll get into detail. I will say he's been pretty open about how he has to test things in practice and figure out exactly how to do, I would assume, how to make certain throws, and it's all a feeling out process right now. The good news is, whether you talk to people in the building, off the record, on the record, everyone loves what they've seen from him and loves how locked in he is and loves what he's physically doing on the practice field, and when you mix that together, you're still gonna have one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, which the Bengals certainly have. They also have a suddenly deep tight end room, which is kind of wild, but there's a lot of new faces in that tight end room. We're going to hear from one coming up in just a bit, but Andrew and I are going to discuss a new revamped Bengals tight end room next on Enter the Jungle. Welcome back to Enter the Jungle. He is Andrew Fox Miller. I'm James Rapien. We are part of the Big Play Network and brought to you by Garage Beer. Catch us weekly on Bally Sports and every Tuesday at 8 Eastern on the YouTube channel, Cincinnati Bengals Talk. And Andrew, let's dive into this tight end room because tight end last year at this time was Irv Smith Jr., Drew Sample, and the hope was that Irv Smith Jr. would be Hayden Hurst. And 2 years ago, the hope was that Hayden Hurst would be CJ Uzama. And one of those worked, one of those didn't. Tanner Hudson came up big and delivered for the Bengals down the stretch last year and gave them someone that they were confident in from a passing game standpoint. We know what Drew Sample brings, but that did not stop the Bengals from bringing in three new tight ends. One in Mike Gesicki, who is the most accomplished of anyone in that room and is looking to jumpstart his career after a down year in New England. And then two rookies, Erick All, who we'll hear from coming up, and Tanner McLaughlin, who is known for his pass catching ability. You go from no tight ends on the roster or under contract coming into this offseason. They had no one. Sample was a free agent. Hudson was a free agent. They signed both of those guys. And then you bring in Gesicki, you bring in All, you bring in McLaughlin. How do you feel about the Bengals tight end room going into preseason game number one?
A lot better, even a lot better than I did after the draft. I still had some concerns, but seeing what I'm seeing on that practice field and the type of reps that they're getting, the fact that Erick All is on the field in August, it's just, like I was expecting Erick All. We'll talk about him in maybe October, like when I don't know when he's gonna be full strength, confident, all that, but he's getting reps right now, and that is huge. The upside. I'm pretty excited about that. And Gesicki, by the way, he's getting tons of reps with Burrow, and I love to see that. Burrow and Sample, actually, I think of all the footage you've sent me, they're the ones they're testing him out with the most.
This is by far the deepest tight end room they've had. Because there are people that are legitimately like, "Oh, well, will Tanner Hudson make the roster?" And I'll just tell you now, Tanner Hudson is making the roster. They realized they messed up last year, and boy, oh boy, did they mess up when they cut Tanner Hudson on final cutdown day. And I think he has the trust with Burrow. Jake Browning, by the way, loves Tanner Hudson as well. He gets open and he makes plays. And so you have a guy like that that is just reliable and you want him around. You do. Because if something happens to Mike Gesicki, or if one of these rookies just isn't necessarily ready to go right away, even though it does feel like both are going to be ready to go, well, you have another guy that you can rely on, bank on, and go to. And I think that's the beauty is this tight end room, much like the wide receiver room, and wide receivers get the attention, but there's variety here. Drew Sample is much different than a guy like Mike Gesicki, but he's going to get a ton of snaps. There's value on what Drew Sample brings to this offense. And I know he's not flashy and people kind of overlook him, and he was a second round pick, and some people can't get past that. It doesn't matter. That draft was forever ago. They've had far worse second round picks, and I won't name names. The point is Drew Sample is a big part of this offense. I like Mike Gesicki's fit, but I got to be honest with you, Andrew. I'm really excited, and not because he's coming up one-on-one. I'm really excited about Erick All because of all of those guys, pun intended, in the tight end room. Most depth Joe Burrow's ever had at tight end. I think he's the guy that can be this complete tight end, this every down tight end, the guy that can block like Drew Sample, and you could ask him to block in line reliably, but also be a threat to go up the seam and threaten defenses vertically as a pass catcher. And whether it's the fact that he was cleared and just got out there for some position drills and thought that it would take a little bit for him to get out there for team drills. And then you saw the clips instantly in 7-on-7, it felt like 2 days after being cleared.
Right.
And then this past Sunday, in on 11-on-11 with the second team, catching passes from Jake Brown and catching a nice screen, multiple first downs. So what that tells me, understands the offense, moving well, impressing the coaching staff. The fact that he's moving that far ahead, moving that far along and getting into team drills, that is huge. So I'm really, really excited about Erick All.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see, never mind preseason, regular season. Is he going to be that player that we're so excited because he's actually going to get some time to train and actually get the comfort, the reps and things in training camp, and then he has like one amazing touchdown like in mid-September, and then we don't see him again until like November. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of the beauty of it to a certain degree, but I would love to see him get some really, meaningful work out on the field during the season. I want to see that upside flash.
And it's tough because you're not benching Mike Gesicki or Drew Sample
Right.
for Erick All right now. He's got to play his way onto the field. And to me, the fact that he's already played his way into the rotation, played his way to get reps with 11-on-11 reps with this team that quickly, it's a good sign as he makes his way back from an ACL. He's had a couple of serious injuries. Who knows? Maybe the Bengals got a steal in fourth-round rookie Erick All. Speaking of All, I will chat one-on-one with the Bengals rookie tight end coming up next. Welcome back to Enter the Jungle. He's Andrew Fox Miller. I'm James Rapien. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on Cincinnati Bengals Talk so you can catch us every single week. And Andrew, I was able to catch up with Bengals rookie Erick All. It was after Sunday's practice. It was his first practice participating in 11-on-11. I asked him about the offense. I asked him about how he's getting acclimated to things, how his knee, as he comes back from that ACL, is doing, and much, much more. So without further ado, here's my one-on-one with Erick All. Erick, you've been cleared for a little bit now, and now you're participating not only in 7-on-7, but 11-on-11. How did it feel to get out there and do everything?
I'm not gonna lie, before going out there, I was kind of nervous because there was no script for today. It was all just call it, like, on the fly. So I was kind of nervous, but now that we're done, I feel great. And, I messed up a few things, so it wasn't like a completely, like, great job, like, type of day. It was just, we're still working and getting things done. So it's kind of, like, bittersweet, but I'm excited. I'm extremely excited and getting rolling.
If I told you when you got cleared that you'd be doing 11s in, I think, a week, roughly a week later, would you have been surprised? It just feels fast to me. I wasn't expecting it. I didn't know what to expect, and now you're out there doing everything.
My bad. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool. Definitely wasn't expecting to, get out there this early, considering how, they want to be with me. But, getting out there and doing the stuff, I feel good. And finally they were just like, we're going to let you do a little team. So it's cool. It's pretty cool, yeah.
How does your knee feel overall? I'm sure there's some soreness and, you're cutting, you're doing more, but is it what you expected?
Honestly, it's surprising me because my knee doesn't hurt really at all. And really today I had a few like confident boosters. I landed on my knee, like falling down, landing on my knee, and making cuts and different things like that. So, and my knee feels perfectly fine. So, for sure, today was a big confident boost for me.
Not only did you get in on 11 on 11, I counted at least 2 catches, and I may be wrong, I may be shortchanging you. You definitely had the screen. Do you remember the screen play? What did you see on that play? Because that's the first time I noticed. Oh, I was like, oh, he's in on 11 on 11s, and the screen worked.
Yeah. At the time, I kind of felt like I was too long on it, but as I was getting off, the ball was already coming, and right when I turned around, Jermaine, he kind of had like inside leverage, and my block was to go outside or to kick him out, and he was inside. So I kind of like made a jab, to set the block, and it worked. Surprising. Then that was really like all I seen, and then after that, I just ran straight through the hole. But it was just wide open play. I think they blitz as well, so good.
As far as this offensive playbook, I know it's not the simplest offense. Where are you at in learning it? I'm sure it is a process.
Oh yeah. Really, I'm getting it down good. It's just you got to get to learn like all the hand signals and like your job for each like play. So it's definitely very difficult, and I'm coming along for sure very well.
What's the goal for the next few days? I assume to continue to participate in team drill. Is there a chance you could play in the preseason opener, or are you just not there yet? You just don't know?
You mean like goal by like how much I can play, or my goal personally?
Yeah, your goal for the next. Your goal for the next like 3 practices, just to continue to participate and do everything like you've been doing.
Yeah, that and just getting stuff to right and not messing anything up. That's like really my main focus, is just not messing stuff up. So.
Is the hope to play in that first preseason game?
I mean, heck yeah, I want to play, but it's not in my hands. It's in Matt's and coaches, but I'll be able to play, especially after how I did today and how I felt after today. I can play for sure.
Whether it's against Tampa, whether it's down the line against Chicago or Indy, and I'm just naming the preseason games, what do you think it's going to be like to put on a Cincinnati Bengals all jersey and going out there when it counts in a real game?
I think is I don't know. I'm right now. I feel like I'm not going to be nervous, but it could come a time, and it comes time to play, and I will be. But right now, I'm just focusing on attacking each day, and by the time I get into the game, just taking what I see Drew and Tanner and Mike do, and just copying them and making sure I'm getting stuff done the right way, and making coach proud.
Really good stuff from Bengals rookie tight end Erick All. Like I said, Andrew, I'm pretty bullish on him. I am, and we'll see what happens. But when I watch him move, when I watch him get in and out of his breaks, run routes, he does it confidently, moves well. And I go back to, and he didn't say it in this interview, but I talked to him a few weeks ago, and I asked him how he would describe his game. And the first thing he mentioned was blocking, which most tight ends that can catch don't do. But he did. So I think that bodes well for his future as well.
Yeah, I can't wait to even just see more footage of him doing just that. I want to see him how much of preseason are we going to see him?
Yeah, well, that's it. He doesn't know as of now
Right.
if he's going to play or not, but I certainly hope that he's able to get out there and play in all 3 preseason games, get some valuable reps. We know the Bengals starters, at least some of them, are going to play in the preseason. Does that include Ted Karras? Well, yeah, I'm sure it does. But what Ted is doing off the field continues to just rise, go up another level. Just when you think the Cincy Hat can't get any bigger, Andrew, it gets bigger. We will discuss what happened over the weekend coming up next. Welcome back into Cincinnati Bengals Talk. This is Enter the Jungle. He's Andrew Fox Miller. I'm James Rapien. And the Cincy Hat, Andrew, is like 2 years old. I think it's technically less than that still.
Yeah.
And yet the biggest concert in at least a year since Taylor Swift, Luke Combs comes to town, and Ted Karras, and I'll tell the story in a second. I chopped it up with Ted, but Ted Karras gets him some Cincy hats, and Luke Combs rocks a Cincy hat both nights of his concert at Paycor Stadium. That's awesome.
First of all, I like how you want to do this segment and it's under the guise of the great work of Ted Karras, which it is. I think that's genuine. But you're failing to mention that you were at the concert. You know, if this was a segment about me going on vacation to Alaska or going on, you know, the Pro Football Hall of Fame. It's Andrew wasn't working.
Yeah.
Let's do a segment on that. But no, we're gonna prop up this Ted Karras story and not mention the fact that you were at the concert, and we can't do a James wasn't working segment.
Oh, I was at the concert. Oh, it was a lot of fun too. It was my first concert at Paycor Stadium. It was probably the first time since Bengals Panthers preseason game 2011. Cam Newton, AJ Green, Andy Dalton, that I had gone to Paycor Stadium as a non-credentialed media member. It was the first time at like just going, sitting in the seats as a fan. Since then, so you're talking 13 plus years. It was cool because there's a lot of changes. I'm not on the concourse a lot. So yeah, of course I went to the concert. I'm not running from that. I love how you try to make it act like I'm running from that. But let's get into to Ted real
Yeah,
quick. To Ted, because his exchange with Luke Combs, Luke Combs came out to practice. We know that. And he's like, hey, Luke, here's some hats. This is the cause. Obviously, they go to Village of Maurici. It's changing lives. And that's it. And he just hands him a bunch of hats. And it was like a really quick, like 30-second exchange. Far from guaranteed that Luke would wear one. And he wears one both nights. I think it's really, really cool. And now you check out the Cincy Hat and they have a Luke Combs hat there, and it's the one that he was wearing. So just really, really cool stuff. Obviously, all of the proceeds go to charity. Something tells me, this is what they call a tease, my friend. Something tells me Ted Karras is going to have some big news in the near future about what they're doing with the Cincy Hat. Matt Rainey as well, a huge, huge part of that, of course. You're a huge part of Enter the Jungle. So please be sure to subscribe on Cincinnati Bengals Talk. Watch weekly on Bally Sports. And for Andrew Fox Miller, I'm James Rapien. As always, thank you so much for watching Enter the Jungle.